I say this all the time, but was last week's game a wake-up call? Let's roll the intro. Round 2 this year was the last time that these two colossal teams met. It was the replay of that big final from 2018, and the Pies looked to emulate their winning formula from that game, and that's exactly what they came out and did. An unusually accurate Collingwood booted 17 goals 8 that night, and De Goey kicked 5 of them, Cox kicked 2, Cheggers 2, Steve-O 2, and the list goes on. Cox backed up his 2018 form and his 2018 final against the Tigers with another big game in round 2. We went on to win by 44 points on the back of a game plan that consisted of a methodical approach with ball in hand, knowing when to chip it around, knowing when to switch it, and knowing when to show the Tigers our full run and carry game. It also helps to control the game when you take 100 more marks than your opposition. After the Geelong loss in round 1, this round 2 game looked to spur on our season, but then we lost to West Coast the next week. But that round 2 game seemed to be a blueprint for what we can bring. But as they say, hindsight's 20/20. A scary looking Tiger team were able to dispatch of a half-baked Port Adelaide team last weekend. This was their 4th win in a row, and it's seen them go from bottom 8 to a top 4 contenders. It helps that their form has come at the right time, getting a lot of their players back, and is starting to link up with Lynch. They've only played 4 games together, but last weekend's game was the best one of the 4. They kicked 6 goals together. They kicked 6 goals between them and were threatening whenever the ball went into the 50. Martin was back to some of his best form, commanding the ball over 30 times while also having over half a dozen inside 50s. Whenever Port started to fight back, there would be 1 or 2 players from the Tigers team that would step up, take their game to the next gear, which in turn lifts everyone else up, and Port just couldn't keep up with them. I think that the prospect of winning 5 in a row and getting that 5th win against us will have every Tiger supporter and every Tiger player licking their lips. The Pies were yet again bested by a team that was willing to do the hard yards and willing to hit the ball hard because they knew what was on the line. You're not going to win many games after giving up an 8-goal first quarter, and like I said in my previous video and on my Instagram, @Swoop Luke, we lived and died by our selection committee. There were more mismatches in our back line than socks after laundry day. When we decided to turn it on and actually show a little bit more fight, it was all a little bit too late. The damage was done in that first quarter, and the Giants went on to win by 47 points. A few positives came out of that game though. Taylor Adams and Howe returned after lengthy injuries. Isaac Quaynor showed a bit more what he can bring to the team. Grundy had another 3-vote day, and Callum Brown is really starting to go into his role. This has been a constant feature in this section, but I'm going to say it again for emphasis. We've got to get better at our ball use going inside that forward 50. It's pretty clear that most of the time we have the ball going inside that forward 50 and attacking, we lack a lot of confidence. That's why you see those balls go over the top, and they're what I like to call the hope for the best ball. You don't want to take the game on, you just want to get it inside that 50 as quick as you can, but when it comes that quick, no one's really prepared, and if you're not hitting up a lead, you're just kicking it into a bunch of opposition players, and like I said, just hoping for the best. We're of that mentality that just because we've got a giant sitting in that forward line, you can just pop the ball on his head and he's got to mark it 100 times out of 100 times. And that's just not what happens. We know Cox has been down in his form, and opposition know that. They put 2 defenders on him. Sometimes they don't even put 2. They just leave him with 1 because he's not going to mark the ball. What we've got to do is take a leaf out of GWS's book and lower our eyes when we go inside 50 and hit a leading target. We've come too predictable. We always go to De Goey or we'll always go to Cox. Like I've said earlier in the video, Cox has to play in that 20 to 30 meter roll from the goal square and lead out and become that big leading target. With outstretched arms, no one can reach over him. They're just going to give away a free kick. But when the ball's coming in over his head, you can't put your arms out and try and mark that ball because it's so high up. And when the ball's high up, it gives opposition time to congregate at the ball drop and be ready to spoil the ball. Our midfielders have got to start working for each other. And I don't mean just getting the 1-2 or, a little bit more talk. I mean providing shepherds and not handballing to a teammate that's under pressure. What I would rather see is, instead of handballing to a teammate that's 2 meters next to you and he's under immense pressure, kick it as long as you can. What happens is you either get that 50-50 contest or the ball trickles out and you're 20 or 30 meters closer towards goal than you were previously. If you give that handball off, they can get pinned for holding the ball, or it becomes a ball up, and then it's just a contest where their ruckman can tap it in, a bit of luck, and they go back inside their forward 50 and we've just lost possession and we've just potentially lost a goal. Another key area with our midfield is Grundy's ruck work. You think that Grundy will have the better of Soldo, but in saying that, the Tigers midfield will be instructed to rove to Grundy's taps. We've seen it numerous amounts of times. The Western Bulldogs guys did it well, and Hawthorn did it well. When you know that you already lost the ruck work, if your midfielders predict where Grundy's going to tap the ball, you're going to win it at least 50% of the time. Our midfielders have just got to get a little bit smarter about that. Now, I'm not saying that this game's going to be won and lost off of Grundy's ruck work alone, but Grundy's ruck work coupled with our clearances will have Richmond on the back foot. What we need to do is win an early clearance, get the ball out of there as soon as that first bounce happens, and we could be in for a repeat of round 2's sounding win. Last week we were beaten before the ball was even bounced. Earlier I alluded to our mismatches in the back line, and that's what it really came down to last week. I'll talk more about my ins and outs next, but with Rewalt and Lynch turning into Maverick and Goose, our backline is going to have their work cut out for them. Going into that Giants game, we were undersized and unaware of the impact that those 3 big forwards were going to have. Before we made any changes, we were already 6 goals down in the blink of an eye, and we had to start clawing our way back. I'm sure that the coaches and the selectors will be heaps smarter with who they bring in and who they drop and how those matchups are going to go though. I just feel that with Darcy going down, it does demoralise the group. I know we have Roughhead, I know we have Howback, Maynard, etc. But I feel like Darcy was that general, that lieutenant down back that kept everyone in line. He was one of our most improved players this year, and we do really miss him. And now that there's no Langdon, no Dunn, we do lack that third tall defender. What I would suggest, which I haven't really seen suggested anywhere, Moroshek was recruited as a key position defender. He won the premiership with Port Melbourne as a defender, and yes, he's great up forward, but if we feel like that we're undermanned in the back line, push Myercheck down back, bring Quaynor up into the half-forward flank or something like that. Something that is a little bit different that no one will be suspecting. And who knows, it might just work out for us, or he gives away a couple goals and you just switch him back anyway. We just need to be a bit more creative with how we do things with the personnel that we have at the moment. So this segues beautifully into my ins and outs. We need to reinvigorate a team that looks shot of all confidence. We need players that are going to chase the ball and will put in decent second efforts. So here are my in and out predictions / my wish list. Ins: Elliott, depending on his injury, Goldsack, Scharenberg, and a debut for Tyler Brown. I've been talking up Tyler Brown so much for the last couple of weeks. He kicked the winning goal in the VFL. I think he really deserves a spot. He was our carryover emergency with the Giants. I think he was a carryover with West Coast as well. He's been riding that emergency list for so long, and I think it's the perfect time to bring him in. Goldsack and Shaz, it's obvious why I want to bring them in and why every other Collingwood supporter wants them in. So my predicted outs will be Appleby, Varco, Crocker, and of course Aish because of his injury. I know it's hard to blame Appleby with how he was undersized and how he was thrown into the deep end, but he just didn't provide much for me to go, yeah, well, let's give him another shot. Same with Crocker. Okay, he kicked 2 goals, but that's all he really did. I know that sounds harsh, but he just needs to be back into that VFL, get his confidence back up, and I'm sure he'll be coming to the first team soon enough. Also, just on these ins and outs, I want to see Sire actually give us something that we've all been begging for this season when he wasn't playing, something that he showed last season, and something that we know he's capable of. He keeps his place in my predicted side by the fur of his coat. When I started these videos, I said I was going to be unbiased and honest with all my opinions and everything that I want to say about Collingwood. So in saying that, I think that Richmond will win by 30 points. Yes, I'm Judas. It pains me to say it, but the way we're playing and the way we look, I don't see us winning. I hope they prove me wrong, and I will happily, literally, eat my words next video if we do come out with a win. But my big call is that Cox will find his form like he always does against Richmond and kick 4 goals. So news coming out of Collingwood this week is that Langdon has opted for knee surgery. We actually got it on Thursday, and he'll be out until next season, so we wish him a speedy recovery. Also, Ben Reid has nicked another hamstring, and it looks like he's also out for the rest of the season, but it actually could be career ending, so fingers crossed it all works out for him and he does come back because we do really need him in this side. There's also a couple of unsubstantiated rumours that were posted by a journo. I'm not going to give him the light of day in this video, but until those rumours become facts, I'm not going to mention them. Also, just a couple of things I've got in the pipeline. I'm working on this music edit. I've seen a bunch of people do it and I thought it looked like a little bit of fun and I want to experiment with that. I'm also thinking of new videos to do. I kind of want to do a trade scenario, or who we should bring in, who we should let go, who retires, sort of thing. And when I hit 200 subs, I'll do another Q&A. I felt like that went pretty swell last time I did it, so I got a really good response, so I'll do one of those again. But if you have any more video ideas or little segment ideas, leave them in the comments below. If you're watching this and you haven't subbed already, do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button. But this has been my preview of the huge Friday night clash against Richmond. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, I'll swoop you later. What do they say? But as they say, hindsight is... Is that what they say? Who knows? Rewalt comes back in and he's starting to hook up. No, starting to link up. There were more mismatches in this game than socks after laundry day. Fuck, that's good, man. It's 1:15. I'm all alone and I need you now. I said I wouldn't call. Giantses. Giants. Gold sack. Shit.